What's going on, everyone? It is 11:59 p.m. Thursday, September 23rd, 2021, and we are just going to go over some things that I have really been taking a lot of interest in. We're going to start off with the Altcoin Market Cap here, and I'm only showing this. A lot of people are saying this was an A, B, C style correction, which we would then see a V bottom out to the upside. If that were the case, it appears that that is what's happening so far. Something to keep an eye on. We are still in the range that I've had marked out this entire time, guys. This is where it's all, a lot of people are expecting this to consolidate here before we go back up. That's speculation. I'm not a TA expert by any means. I understand it a bit, but I'm just relaying the information that I am given. We're going to get into some Ripple stuff today and some CBDC stuff that's going on around the world. Excuse me. This is an article from the World Economic Forum about international cooperation in the era of digital currency group. And they go over how there's been a shift toward digital payments since COVID-19, the increasing attention to and development of CBDCs and stablecoins, and how the World Economic Forum has started a digital currency governance consortium that is working to help realize the benefits and mitigate the risks of these new forms of digital currencies. This is a pretty interesting read. I'm not going to cover it at large, but, they talk about international cooperation is a must. Data privacy is paramount. Public and private sector collaboration is fundamental, so that's a great thing to see. And lastly, technical interoperability should not be overlooked. So they're basically saying that interoperability is a big deal. If you would like to learn more about the Digital Currency Governance Consortium, you can look here too. They have quite a bit of information. And it has a lot to do with CBDCs and stuff like that. Stable coins and CBDC capabilities, regulatory choices, technology choices. It's all very interesting. Kind of shows you like a little diagram of what they're looking at right now. It's exciting stuff. The IMF, of course, they're involved as well. They have some of this central bank digital currencies for cross-border payments. This was July of this year as well. I believe the other one was in May. The download for that document is this one. I went down. There's a lot of really cool information in here. I'm not going to cover these documents at large, but it really goes into here's the current issues for cross-border payments. Here's the benefits with CBDCs. Here's some risks. Interoperability models, different cross-border scenarios. They cover all this stuff at large. They got a couple graphs in here that show you some stuff. CBDCs being used by foreign residents when visiting, being cross-jurisdictional, considering foreign currency restrictions if there's widespread use of a foreign CBDC. You got these little cool things that kind of explain how the whole process would work from a framework stance, I guess you would say. All kinds of stuff. They really talk about which models are being considered more, this, that, and the other. They have all these cool things where it pretty much shows how everything works. Pretty cool stuff. I do suggest going over this if you're interested in it, because this is what's happening, people. Here is the central bank digital currencies get full BIS backing. The BIS is the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. And they are saying that they need to modernize finance and ensure that big tech does not take control of money. That is one of the main drivers as of June for them backing CBDCs. So, when these central banks start backing it from a control aspect, please believe things will move very quickly once they start. I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, we've been hearing about this for years. Yeah, and things move. Government moves slow until they don't. Dubbed the central bank to the world's central banks, the BIS, which is coordinating many of their discussions on digital currencies, set out recommendations on Wednesday on how a CBDC such as a digital dollar, euro, yen, or yuan should look. They were quoted here as saying the train has left the station, referring to the move towards CBDCs and its support. It is not that we are getting carried away. We are just looking around. The push comes as physical cash use falls globally and authorities look to fend off the threat of their money printing powers from Bitcoin and efforts from big tech such as Facebook-backed Diem, formerly known as Libra. Without CBDCs, digital money would become increasingly dominated by big tech firms as they would leverage enormous social media user bases. This is a place where you don't want to be, where governments do not want to be. When he said, is what he said, describing the loss of control of sovereign money. It just goes in. It talks about the Bank of France announcing Europe's first cross-border payment experiment, which we will talk about in a second. All kinds of stuff. I don't know what this graphic is. I'm going to see. Nope, that's dumb. We're not going to worry about that. Central bank digital currencies to be tested in a BIS experiment. Now, this is from September of this year, so this is a little newer. We're talking a couple months down the road here. They are testing the use of CBDCs. I cannot talk tonight. My apologies, guys. With Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, in an experiment that could lead to a more efficient global payments platform. So they're looking at redoing everything. Would you imagine that? Codenamed Project Dunbar, the study aims to develop prototypes for a common platform that will enable international settlement in digital fiat currencies issued by central banks. The system would allow direct transaction in CBDCs or between institutions while reducing time and cost, according to the BIS. Globally, central banks are trying to come to terms with the emerging payment technologies pioneered by tech firms, including China's Ant Group. Additionally, Facebook's Diem project, formerly known as Libra, is building out a global payments network that can service its own stablecoin or central bank digital currencies. And this is just saying, the results of their study should be published early next year. That means it will probably be published next month, the way these people work. I do not take their timeline seriously. We're going to keep going, though. I just talked about France and how they're piloting some stuff and doing this. Well, back in March of this year, just remember, France was eyeing Ripple's CBDC ledger for the digital euro. The CBDC private ledger is built for payments and issuing currencies. Ripple's native digital asset XRP can be leveraged as a neutral bridge asset for frictionless value movement between CBDCs and other currencies. Ripple has announced it is piloting a private version of the XRP ledger. According to the firm's blog, the plan is to provide a distributed ledger offering to central banks who wish to develop, issue, and manage their own sovereign-backed cryptocurrency. Ripple claims its CBDC private ledger, which is based on the same blockchain technology that powers the XRP ledger, is able to satisfy the needs of governments and economies with a secure, controlled, and flexible solution. Over 80% of central banks are actively studying the development of their own digital currencies, and Ripple claims that CBDC ledger is both private for transaction privacy and control over the currency, and interoperable to connect with today's existing global financial infrastructure as well as other CBDCs and other digital currencies, as well as customizable. The CBDC private ledger is built for payments and issuing currencies. Ripple's native digital asset XRP can be leveraged as a neutral bridge asset for frictionless value movement between CBDCs and other currencies. It can handle tens of thousands of transactions per second, initially with its potential to scale to hundreds of thousands TPS over time. Then they go on to say where CPA Australia has released a report on CBDC which stated that France's central bank, Banque de France, has openly discussed Ripple XRP as a possible platform for Europe's digital central bank digital currency. According to the document, Ripple and XRP enjoy the trust of many banks as a model for CBDCs because it is highly centralized and is based on a permission. It's probably supposed to say decentralized, and is based on a permission network where only certain network nodes can validate transaction. Or no, they did say, okay, so they are saying because it's centralized, as opposed to decentralized and permissionless Bitcoin and Ether. Ripple also allows the creation of new currencies, and Ripple developers can decide the timing and quantity of supply in a similar way to CBDCs. I disagree with some of their take on that, but that's not the point. The point is it's being talked about. UK central bank tests Ripple's Interledger protocol for cross-border payments. The UK central bank has released, this is from July 2017, new details about a proof of concept that is developed in partnership with distributed ledger startup Ripple. The Bank of England has released details about their partnership with Ripple. Cross-border payments, when applied into wholesale markets, present different challenges than when compared with retail and corporate transactions, which the Ripple product is designed to handle. The availability of liquidity is one such challenge, and the proof of concept allowed the bank and Ripple to begin exploring these questions. It's really cool stuff. They've been working with these people forever, and even right here where they talk about, it says, I see where Ripple is very centralized, obviously, but the nature of the XRP ledger is just as decentralized as anything else. There's thousands of nodes around the world. So I'm sure quite a few of them are controlled by Ripple and other investors, this, that, and the other, but anybody can start one and run one. So, I feel like that argument's pretty mute at this time. But I do agree, Ripple is very centralized and very directly aimed at these central banks. That's always been what they've wanted to do. This goes into that Ripple proof of concept that the Bank of England spoke about, and then this is it where it kind of talks about it. The key objectives were determining whether the Interledger protocol could provide a suitable technical solution to the scenario, exploring situations in which the synchronized settlement process should not compete, and to understand potential ways of responding, building understanding of the technical challenges associated with both synchronization and the Interledger protocol. It talks about the Ripple solution being used, reflections and next steps. The Interledger protocol was able to support synchronization of payments between two simulated RTGS ledgers. The ILP validator created a single source of truth between the two ledgers, eliminating the need for separate processes such as mutual reconciliation between the ledgers. Cross-border payments when applied to wholesale markets present, whatever, we already read that. But it just goes into what they did. Pretty interesting stuff. This was announced earlier. There is a new partnership, and with this expansion into Thailand, Novati has partnered with the first Thai bank, SCB, through RippleNet. This is expected to result in thousands of transactions a month being processed by Novati through RippleNet. Here is the article on that goes over some stuff. It's pretty exciting. They are tapping RippleNet's on-demand liquidity service for remittances between Australia and the Philippines in April this year. They're following the momentum of that. Again, highlights Novati's ability to monetize its existing ecosystem in new markets. Discussions underway to launch additional markets across Southeast Asia. It's exciting stuff, man. They're bringing it in. It says the announcement follows some of Novati's other recent growth-focused achievements, delivering record total annual revenues of $18.4 million, an increase of 55% from the fiscal year before, completing a $40 million plus capital raising to expand its growth strategy, and securing a basically 20% strategic stake in leading accounting software platform Reckon Limited. So, everything's kind of slowed for them over here in the States, but they are still plowing ahead. Let's not forget, this is old because all of these services have been rebranded entirely. But back when AWS, which is still partnered with Ripple, but to my knowledge anyway, this is where they had a little bio on Ripple, and this is where they talked about how they had more than 100 financial institutions, including these. You have Santander, Canadian Imperial Bank. Of course, you just heard what they're talking about. Singapore. They're talking about China, UAE. They're talking about the UK. They're over in Japan, Thailand. All these this remittance networks are huge over there. So, that's where a lot of these targets are. I don't know what's behind this link. Ripple's blockchain network is now more than 100 strong. And keep in mind, this was dated by AWS and through Ripple October of 2017, guys. Just keep that in mind. Some of them were processing more than $180 million in payments between Sweden and the U.S. over RippleNet, with transactions taking just seconds to complete. I think that kind of stuff's awesome. Here is a screenshot from Ripple's website of some of their large partnerships that they have going on right now. You got Santander, you got Tranglo, huge, American Express, Bank of America, SBI, Novati, who we just read about, Asimo's big, Standard Chartered's huge. Who else is on here? I'm sure these people are all giants too. I'm just not as familiar with some of their names. But moving on. Ripple has also partnered with Bhutan's central bank to begin piloting the digital whatever that thing is, using the company's private ledger designed specifically for CBDCs. And this is a key point right here, guys. Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks. They let us know this back in March of the same year. They said with over 80% of central banks actively exploring some form of sovereign-backed cryptocurrency, New central bank digital currencies are bound to emerge. Each new CBDC will have unique goals driven by the specific market challenges and opportunities of its country, unavoidably leading to different technologies and implementations, leaving the world with an array of CBD solutions. They go on to talk about some of the challenges. They talk about, they're talking about the ledger. This also means that the CBDC private ledger is designed for issuing currencies. With over 5,400 currencies issued on the XRPL over the past 8 years, including the native digital asset XRP, which can be leveraged as a neutral bridge asset for frictionless value movement between CBDCs and other currencies. That's the whole interoperability thing, guys. Transactions on the CBDC private ledger are verified by the same consensus protocol used by the XRP ledger, which is far less energy intensive and therefore less expensive and 61,000 times more efficient than public blockchains that leverage proof of work technology. And then they do, hold on, I'm going to go back. I want to open that because I didn't actually notice that was a link earlier. And it looks like they have a green currency interactive tool. This is interesting. It just tells you the annual usage of these blockchains here. As you can see, Bitcoin is using more than Portugal. They got the CO2 emissions. You can see the difference. Gas consumption. You can see the difference. I thought this was cool, breaking down individual transactions. So you can see, don't get me wrong, MasterCard is already pretty cheap. Visa's pretty cheap, but the speed and because these are still based in fiat as of right now, they're slower. Interesting. I didn't see that before. I'll make sure to put that link in there. We have a couple of videos to watch. This is probably going to take a little longer. Like I said, I am backing off of the plowing through videos all the time. Keep in mind, guys, none of this is financial advice, investment advice, anything like that. Don't buy or sell anything based on anything you see here on this channel. That would be a terrible idea. This entertainment, educational purposes only. It just happens to be a hobby of mine that I like discussing, and my wife doesn't want to listen to me anymore, so you guys get these videos. Let's listen to this video right here, and this is going to kind of play into the state of where things are at this point in the case and everything.
So RippleNet is trying to take on Swift. What's been the traction like? Who's come on board?
Well, it's interesting as you step back and look at this. If you and I decided we were going to send $10,000 to California today, the fastest way for us to do it would be to drive to the airport and fly it there. That's a crazy thing to think about when you're in the age of the internet and we're used to information on demand. When we think about the customers that have come on board, it's because we're solving that real problem. We're changing the nature of a payment taking days to settle to California to seconds. So we now have well over 100 customers ranging from some of the biggest banks in the world to payment providers to the Western Unions and MoneyGrams, Linlan Pay out of China.
How many banks?
It's over 100. I actually don't know the exact number now. Last time we announced it publicly, we said over 100. We'll probably announce the next one when we get to over 200. We're signing up more than a bank a week now.
What are they using Quorum for?
So the publicly announced applications are their interbank information network, which has north of 400 financial institutions around the world. And it's essentially a messaging layer, similar to what Swift does. JP Morgan, I believe, has around 4,000 financial institutions in their correspondent banking network. So one could imagine that all of those organizations and perhaps more will eventually end up on IIN. So Consensus is supporting that network. And Consensus is also supporting JPM Coin, which is a stable coin solution. So
and just keep in mind, guys, Joseph Lubin of Consensus, they actually acquired JP Morgan's Quorum technology, and then afterwards JP Morgan made an additional investment into them, which I thought was very interesting. And then obviously you guys can read Jay Clayton walks out the door, sues it. You guys know how that all plays into things. This looks like it was out of order. This was supposed to be back here with the World Economic Forum article I had. Where is that? Is that way up here? That is way up here. This, we're going to put it up there, so this is where it's supposed to be. This is from January of 2020. This is just a, or no, I did have it in the right place. What am I doing? Don't mind me, guys. It is later than I wanted it to be. Okay, so you see where this left off right here. I put this here to show you guys this is the document that was from. So the document he's showing, so before all this stuff came up, and I believe it was number 16. It's really cool, man. They show you all this different stuff. I'll put all the links to these documents, man. I suggest you guys take a look at it, especially if you want to understand where we're going. I mean, this is the legitimate side of crypto that's going to happen. I don't care what anybody says. You can see right here where it says most relevant for retail CBDCs, which would essentially be the cash that is distributed to us. You see all these different companies, globally available cryptocurrencies. They do list Bitcoin and Ether right here. They do have some stable coins like USDC from Circle. They got Tether, which I doubt that stays on there long. For wholesale CBDCs, they talk about, Swift is what's existing, crypto assets designed for interbank payments and settlements, JP Morgan coin, and XRP. So the point I'm making here is as soon as Consensus acquired JP Quorum, which was this entire technology, and now they're saying, we support the JPM coin. It's kind of like a stable coin. As soon as they did that, Consensus and the entire Ethereum alliance became a direct competitor with who? When the World Economic Forum is listing their top two choices and you're right side by side, you are in competition, period. Yeah. So let's just keep looking at stuff. It was interesting too, is a little bit before that, a few years before that, JP Morgan Chase and Co. leave blockchain consortium R3. Now remember, R3 was at one point partnered with Ripple. They had a dispute split. R3 has went on to become an amazing project that works with a lot of financial institutions, especially in trade finance, leveraging the XDC token for internal settlement and XRP for the second first choice when using the Court of Settlers. So that's all interesting. And it says on here that the bank is now a member of the newly formed blockchain consortium, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. So this is what's interesting to me, is that in 2017, JP Morgan left a competitor who had been working with Ripple, joined the Ethereum Enterprise, and then I guess it says 2020, so 3 years later, Joseph Lubin's being interviewed about how he has now, or how Consensus has actually purchased the JP Morgan Quorum sector, or whatever you want to call it, when the whole entire thing was already part of the Ethereum Alliance. I just find there to be some sketchiness going on there. And then here he is too. This is where they talk about he talks about JP Morgan being involved since the beginning, and at the end it's going to show you Charles Hoskinson, who was one of the original 8 co-founders of Ethereum, the Ethereum network, and is now the Cardano guy. He created Cardano. So just to give you a little background on who he is, you'll see him at the end. But just listen to this stuff and just think about the narrative that's being built here.
JP Morgan started paying attention to Ethereum blockchain technology even before public mainnet was released. So they started experimenting and building out some things when we were still building proofs of concept. They had a handful of different teams that focused on blockchain technology, and we've interacted with them roughly from the start. We started to interact with them in a really concerted way around the time of the advent of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. So we were 2 of the major drivers of that initiative and have been 2 of the major drivers of activity inside the EEA since launch, really.
The Ethereum team is really one of the most remarkable that I've ever had the privilege of working on. It's a wonderful mix of both old and new. There's some senior software developers, people who work for Goldman Sachs off Wall Street. We have very young entrepreneurs on the team, older entrepreneurs.
So there you have that. It's interesting stuff. And then this was an interesting thing that it says the big question on the internet related to this story is who made the call to give Ethereum an unfair advantage in the industry by labeling only Ethereum as a non-investment, allowing them to sidestep investment-related regulations. And then it says breaking. Former SEC, this was what it was related to. Former SEC Chairman Clayton directed Perkins Coie to draft memo giving Ethereum and Bitcoin unique advantage in crypto space. Then his SEC sued their top competitor on the day that Chairman left the SEC on an 11th hour lawsuit. And it's, they just talk about some of it being like right here. This is the article where it talks about, it says, today there's been uncovered a video that indicates former SEC Chairman Clayton was behind the SEC's moves that created a favorable environment for two cryptos, Ethereum and Bitcoin, while he was the head of the SEC. He dropped a lawsuit on their largest and only competitor, really, on the last day in his office. We know that Clayton made out handsomely as a result because of where he wound up working afterwards. He's on several boards of companies that are directly exposed to Bitcoin and Ether exclusively, which I find interesting. The video is not on here. I did forget to put it here. It's literally a guy in a meeting room talking to a bunch of people, and he just goes over how Hinman basically followed the memo that he prepared for him, that he was instructed to by Jay Clayton, and that he followed it. He tracked it very well in his speech. So essentially pointing out that the speech was not, in fact, Bill Hinman's opinion at all, but it was him, reading off of something that was prepared by massive amounts of legal teams. And then here's some of that information here. I will also include this in the description. They pretty much knew the hurdles that would emit from Ripple being even considered to be a security for a few moments. So yeah, you have all that building, and the market's been crazy. Everybody's freaking out. What's going on? We got the debt ceiling. We got Evergrande. And I always say, when you have all this scary stuff building up, the market tanks real quick. Now you see it recovering pretty nicely. These are the moments I like to watch for, because it is at this moment that a bombshell report, such as something like this, could show up. And then just when I thought it wouldn't get any crazier, you got Jerome Powell talking about the expansion of their core payment system, the first one since the 1970s. Listen to what he says here.
We're also, as you know, investing heavily right now in building a new settlement system for instant payments in the U.S. It'll be the first such major expansion of our core payment system since the 1970s. We found the case for this quite compelling for consumers, businesses, and just ensuring that all financial institutions have access to the payment system. We're also, as you
So they were talking about CBDCs when this was said, and this came out. It was 3:30 p.m. September 22nd. Well, 11:31 a.m. the next morning, Ripple conveniently drops their white paper on CBDCs. CBDCs have the power to enhance existing payment infrastructures and promote financial inclusion. Our white paper provides central banks with the framework to get started. Download it here. You can go to their website and just enter this information. I did organization. I put my photography company, and then for organization type, I just put other, and you're able to get it. I don't think it matters. This is just so they have some information stored. These are the documents, though, guys. And I'm not going to go through and read all these because it'll get super technical, but it does talk about, the trend is declining cash the trend of cash use is declining, is what I'm trying to say. Facebook's announcement of a Diem will reach 2.4 billion people potentially. China's testing of digital yuan payment is threatening the U.S. dollar's position as the global reserve. It's supposed to launch in February. There is a growing need for a more effective way for governments to pay benefits or stimulus directly to citizens, especially the unbanked. 1.7 billion people unbanked around the world, and that is probably an unofficial number, I am sure. Think about it. If it's got to be done, if they're going to be done by February 22nd, we got to do something now. And I think Ripple sees that, and I think they're about to try to leverage Congress or something in this lawsuit. I don't know what's going on, but I don't think it's bad. I'll tell you that. They got intro to CBDCs. You come in here, it says the main benefits are enhancing existing payment infrastructures, increasing the speed and efficiency of payments while reducing cost of failure rates, promote financial inclusion, increasing access to financial services for under and unbanked populations and enhance direct person-to-person payments. Encourage greater competition by reducing barriers to entry and boost access to global markets through interoperability. Foster innovation using advanced digital features like smart contracts and programmable money that will be the basis of a new financial services. And maintain control. And this is the big one, guys. All these cryptos are out here talking about screw the banks, short the banks. That's for kids, man. It's never going to happen. I love the idea of it, but like it's not real. And I'm going to be an adult and admit that. You guys can make that choice yourself. But right here, it says ensuring central banks retain sovereignty over monetary policy and not allow alternative currencies to dominate the market. Well, the only real alternative currency that you have to worry about dominating the market is potentially Bitcoin. We know how that whole thing goes, and yeah, man. I mean, this is the big one. Ripple's the only company really trying to work with these guys for as long as they have been, and that's where a lot of my excitement comes from. Here's a bank or a map of the countries that are exploring CBDCs. You know, the blue is actually in creating them. The advanced research stage is in the green, and then purple is early research. So you can see some of the bigger areas of the world are actively, you know, these are not very populated in comparison to here, you know. It's interesting. And yeah, I'll just read some of these highlights while we're in this because I just think it's so interesting. This is a quote from Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank. If CBDs are cheaper, faster, and more secure for users, we should explore it. If it's going to contribute to better monetary sovereignty, better autonomy, we should explore it. If it's going to facilitate cross-border payments, we should explore it. They go on, by 2024, at least half the world's population is expected to use digital wallets for transactions that will be valued at more than $9 trillion annually, guys. Everybody asks me about, well, what's your XRP price prediction? There's no way to really tell that when this gets to this. If XRP is being used, I don't know if any of us will even have it anymore. There could be like a big, like a retail holdout where the banks are trying to buy your stuff from you. Who knows what's going to happen? But I tell you what, I'm holding on to mine to see some of this fall into place because I want to see what goes on. Every CBDC will need to have some basic level of interoperability built in from day one, and that is just so it can flow freely between other currencies. You know, they are neutral bridge is what XRP does. A neutral bridge asset can support healthy alternative liquidity markets that will allow for frictionless and cost-effective value movement between various CBDCs in real time. And then this is just their little closing statement right here. I also found they did this last year. This is from 2020, but it's the last mile playbook for global payments. Pretty interesting stuff. You know, it says right now cross-border payments take weeks to settle. 1 to 2 days here, 1 to 5 days here, 1 to 2 days here. Then it gets here. Maximum days to settle, 9 days. It's in seconds with Ripple. And yeah, you guys can check all this stuff out if you want to. I find it all fascinating just because the technology side of it is exciting. They even go over. They have like country profiles on like what's going on, like what their plan is as far as taking over the payment sector there. Here's another thing by Crypto Law. This is John Deaton's website. This goes over the Ethereum Free Pass Fair Notice and the fight ahead. The key players, you know, it talks about Clayton, Hinman, Ethereum Consensus, how Consensus is a client of Sullivan and Cromwell, where Clayton once worked, and he did represent them. And then you have Ethereum Alliance, which was a company built to market Ethereum as an enterprise solution that has Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett on the board, where Hinman worked before and after he went to the SEC. It goes into all this stuff, the Ripple lawsuit. Check this out. This is a really great, read for people who aren't up to date on it. You can also go over here to the video library, where it covers things all the way from 2017, video evidence that is just contradictory of everything these SEC officials are saying on the stand, under sworn testimony, during depositions, etc. Great stuff here if you got time to kill. I've probably seen most of it. I would recommend checking that out as well if it's of interest. And, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. We got to go back to this. I don't know what the other one was, but Charles Gasparino, this is what we're going to end it with. He says, where are we at? Yeah, Charles Gasparino said that tomorrow. Oh, I had this little. Damn it! I hate when I click the wrong button like that. Anyway, he has a thing where tomorrow at 3:30 on Fox Business, he will be Gasparino Fox Crypto. Let's see if anything shows up here. Nope, it doesn't. But at 3:30 tomorrow on Fox, he will be having a surprise crypto guest. So I'm pretty excited to see that. See who it is. He said that it would. Let's go back to what it said. DAI had the video of it. I thought. Sorry for dragging this out on the end. Oh yeah, here we go, guys. We gotta watch it. The volume is really crazy, and I don't know how to adjust it. So bear with me.
Big crypto. If you're in the crypto business, if you care about Ripple versus the SEC, you care about Coinbase versus the SEC, you care about Gary Gensler's uneven attacks against the crypto industry, you care what Hester Peirce has to say, watch tomorrow. We're going to be lighting it up in ways CNBC, which represents the establishment. It's going to be Crypto Friday tomorrow. Crypto Friday. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know how well you guys would be able to hear that, but what it said was I'm getting all mixed up here. What it said. Yeah. It says tomorrow he's having a surprise crypto guest on, and if you care about the SEC's unfair treatment of Ripple, you need to watch. Mentioned it was a major player, says he's going to light it up, and that CNBC protects the establishment. And I don't know what the other one was. I can't remember, but I don't think it was that important. So I'm going to end this video with that, guys. I got to go to bed. It's probably almost 1 o'clock in the morning. What time is it? Yeah, it's 12:36. I will probably just auto-upload this, so I'll copy and paste it into social media tomorrow. So if you're one of my standby bell ringers, you'll see it soon. I will talk to you guys on the next one. Give me a couple days.